prevent it from working at all!
Revolution
Radio.
You're listening to Revolution Radio, where it's 53 degrees, and I've got Joe Anunnaki on the phone. Hey, Joe, what would you like to hear?
We are observing your Earth.
I'm sorry, Joe, but we can't...
And we'd like to make...
sorry, Joe, but...
my contact with you.
Collision course.
It is essential for our survival to use these powerful tools in the most humane and wise way. And the only way to guarantee that is not to shuffle the responsibility off to somebody else, but to make sure that every citizen understands science and technology to some extent.
Lighten up, Francis.
Good evening, everyone. It is Francis, and this is Collision Course, and it is December 9th. Tonight's show, I'm going to fill up with as much information as I can. So if you want to call, if you want to join the call, have any questions, feel free. I'm going to try to deal with the callers in the best way I know how, which is when you call. I will answer and add you to the conversation, and then I'll try not to hang up on you and hang up on the radio station server at the same time. Much of tonight's show, as we've already heard, has been basic astronomy information from the week. We all know that there isn't a lot of objects that are posing a direct threat to Earth as there were so many months ago. If we even take the heavy mass object off the top shelf and put it down a little ways and do more research on it, there still are limited exciting things to talk about, and limited opportunities to debunk outside of the spaceship behind Mercury, which isn't. I did a lot of research this week. On an upcoming show, we're going to have a guest, Santos Bonacci, who I was researching over this past week, who has a unique presentation on ancient astronomy and theology. Santos is looking at astronomy and connecting some of the ways the Bible is written, and he has a belief within him that the Bible is somehow describing the sky, the night sky, and I need to learn more about it. But I found a lot of interesting information this week, and some of it was about reality and virtual reality, and basically the spaceship behind Mercury. It's just information in what we know of the world right now, and through our past experiences. Information cannot be two things at once. Okay, if it was a spaceship and it was observed and proven, and then at that instant that spaceship would be in our reality. The problem is the information of it being a spaceship is not in our reality, which means as soon as you call it a spaceship, you're making something unreal real. And another point of interest, which involves some of my research this week about information, how everything, how our physics are changing. When the research I did this week was talking about Big Bang, how Newtonian science, the effects of gravity, the tenets of old world physics, new world physics, new age physics are basically having to just eliminate the tenets that were created by Einstein and Newton to achieve these new answers about our universe. And one of the specific examples of how unique our universe is again, I mentioned a lot, the two-slit experiment. And there was a physicist did a long presentation about the two-slit experiment. I'm going to go get that link if I have it here. And basically what we did, I've seen a great explanation of the two-slit experiment, but what this physicist did is he went a little bit further, and he explained all the different ways that affect the experiment. And basically what it is that the information, which is our observations, the information of our reality is not actually true until we observe it. It can be anything until the observation is made and the effect is proven. I have a caller, so I'm going to add a caller, see if there's a question I can answer. Caller, are you there? 916?
Yes.
Yes, how are you? This is Francis. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Francis, it's gvloanguy.
gvloanguy, that's right. How are you? I'm glad that you...
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm I'm out here on the West Coast. I was thinking you were talking about that total lunar eclipse tomorrow morning.
Yes. Are you going to try to observe it?
I'm going to be right out on the beach on the West Coast, just south of Crescent City, about 50 miles, looking west. And if it's clear, I'll be taking pictures of it.
And then you're going to post a YouTube video on your YouTube channel?
I will. If I can get some pictures of it, I'll post some stuff up tomorrow morning.
Definitely. Please do. Listen, listeners, this is my friend, Tom. And he is gvloanguy. So it's YouTube user gvloanguy. The reason why I had him call tonight, because we had a discussion this morning, didn't we, Tom?
Yes, yes.
And what we had a discussion about is because I know that when I produce the shows on Friday, there are people who are recording the shows, and there are people who are rebroadcasting the events for YouTube, like you are,
yes.
right?
Yes, that's what I do.
Listen, I had to talk to you this morning. I gave you a ring this morning because now we are friends. Before this discussion this morning, we are friends, and so far I appreciate your friendship for me, and you're following along and everything that you've done. And I won't get into everything, but
Thank you.
What happened this morning is I saw your upload this morning. What it was a segment from the show that I did on December 2nd. And I noticed when I was watching it, I noticed that freedomslips.com had come on and made a comment on it because at that time when you uploaded the video, you didn't get a chance to put a link back into the radio station, right?
That's right. Yes. In fact, I didn't even really see the comment until I saw both of them at the same time. I saw their comment at the same time as I saw yours. Actually, after I posted up the video, I had to run off to work this morning. But I wanted to get it out there because it's Friday morning, and I thought, well, before the next show comes on tonight, I wanted to get this segment out because of the whole show. This is what I thought was really, this was one of the aspects that I thought was very critical. It was that 188-day aspect from Lucas 9:11 from last week's show. And I thought that was really informative, and I wanted to just boil it down and get it to a short little video so that somebody could spend 10 minutes and get the gist of the conversation that you and he had last week. So I put that out there, but I didn't really have a chance to give the proper credit, really, to anyone. I didn't put anything on there. I just barely had a description. But it's all fixed now. I've got it all set with everybody getting the proper credit. I've given credit to everyone there, which is really the appropriate thing to do. And my apologies to the folks at Revolution Radio, because I do appreciate what they provide, the platform that they provide for people like you to come on and put your radio show on. I just think it's fantastic, because anymore it's clear that you cannot get real, true news on TV, on any channel. You're getting pretty much the information that they want you to get, and that's it. So really, I do look to YouTube and folks like you that are putting out information, and folks like the ones you've had on in the last couple of weeks. It's been very good.
Well, and again, the reason why I had you call, because when I saw the comment this morning, I said, well, let me reach out to you, because I really appreciate my friend Draken I-78 he's been consistently recording the shows. And the reason why he's consistently recording the shows is because I asked him, right? And so now I saw how you were mirroring some of the videos. And I said, well, I said to myself, and this is what the point of this is, because I finally brought it all together. And then, whatever, if there's more discussion that needs to be had after this, we'll have it. But at this point this morning, because I like Draken so much, and I like you so much, I want to have a nice group of friends like yourselves who are going to help record the shows and put them out there, because I don't do it. And for me, it's a great thing because the show gets more exposure, and as long as everyone's happy, though, okay? Because what I found out, and like I explained to you this morning, is that we just have to, give if the credits is all they're asking for, then we just have to make sure they're on it. And I called also because I wanted to make sure that you and Draken had spoken too, because we had spoken on my profile in my messages on YouTube. And I'm sure you felt a little bit of hesitancy because it was working through my head, because I like to feature, Draken's video.
Yes.
But I want to make it good for everyone. You know what I mean?
And like I mentioned to you earlier today, I really do. I take Draken's recorded video. I count on him to post that up. In fact, I usually don't record the show myself because he does. And it's a little bit more convenient for me to take the stuff that he provides and then edit it down. Now, I respect his part of the deal, and I do give him credit, and he and I have communicated back and forth. So we're good with what's going on, and I think everyone deserves the proper credit. But I use his video as original, raw replay of your radio show, and then I take what I do, and this is what I enjoy doing, is to kind of boil it down or distill things down and try to fix some of the goofy things that happen on live radio, and like some of the little hiccups like tonight. I would remove that, but it'll be in the full replay of the radio show as it should be, and that's for guys like me that want, and for historical purposes, it needs to be posted up there just the way it happened. But for guys like me that want to take it and edit it down so that other people can come and get a 10-minute little quick view at the whole subject of the 188 days, like I posted up this morning, or I'll take the main topic of your show and make a video and feature that and kind of get rid of all the goofy calls that may come in or what. There's a place for both things. And I spend a lot of time doing it, and I love doing it. So my background includes a lot of things that relate to this whole YouTube deal.
Well,
I'm having a good time, and I'm happy to be part of the team.
Yes, and I wanted you to know that I wanted you to feel, I wanted you to be in that place. I didn't want you to get into a different place and then not have any conversation with anyone and then just have to wonder, because I hate that feeling when it happens to me. Now, okay, so then you owe me, right?
I owe you big time.
Listen, go out tomorrow and get us some good footage of it, okay? Because I'm not going to get to see it, and then when you bring it back to us, we'll get.
I'll do it.
That'll feel good.
As long as there's no fog out there. Sometimes we get a pretty big fog in the morning. If it's clear, I'll be there recording it. If it's foggy, I'll be there too. But it won't. It won't be much unless it's clear.
Well, the beach isn't a bad place to be, especially on a morning with a full lunar eclipse. Listen, Tom, I appreciate you calling. Exactly what I wanted to do is just get a chance to speak to you about it, and then because I know that there are, everyone's listening, and so if there is more feedback, this is kind of the jumping off point. So I don't know what the result will be. If we have to have more discussions, we will. But I do thank you for calling. And listen, I thank you for all your work. You're on my team. We think the same way. So
all right, good deal.
Have a great morning tomorrow.
I will, and I'll be listening to the rest of the show here.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, just making sure that I have everyone off the phone and I'm still on the air. Listen, I thought that was important because I if if I need any, basically what I said is if we need to have more discussions about the right way to get the shows rebroadcast, I guess that's a jumping off point. I know that this morning there was that event, and of course I see it, especially if it's from one of my subscribers or one of my friends. I do try to make sure that everyone is on board and that we are working as a team. I don't think I've found anyone who's been unwilling to work on the team and totally, if something like that happened without leaving a link, we can all, get together and get those situations solved. If there's something else that needs to come up over the rebroadcasting of the radio shows, I guess that'll be a discussion for later. Okay, you know what time it is? It's time for a station break.
409 here. And back in the day, it used to be that most new comets and asteroids were discovered by astronomers diligently sitting at their eyepieces, spending one cold night after another patiently scanning the skies. Well, the event of robotic astronomy changed that, and now the vast majority of all celestial newcomers are found automatically. But Australian amateur astronomer Terry Lovejoy, we remember him now from Comet Eleanor, changed that last week. Not only did he discover a comet, which isn't that unusual really, though it's still pretty cool, but it turns out to be a sun grazer, a comet that plunges deep down to the center of the solar system, practically skimming the sun's surface. Now, a lot of my friends, a lot of you out there check out Soho all the time. You're going to see this coming up. Don't let it freak you out, okay? Just don't let it freak you out. Now, let's see if we can get up here real slow like. There's a picture of it right there. That's it right there. Wonder how many times he had to stack. This is a combination of 3 images. The comet moves between exposures a bit, so he recentered the comet in each shot and added them together. It's the fuzzy blob in the middle of the frame, just what I showed you there, okay? Right there. Now, the comet's official name is C2011W3 Lovejoy, and on December 16th, it will pass just about 180,000 km, or 110,000 miles, less than half the distance from the Earth to the Moon. This may be a death dive, since many such comets don't survive the intense heat of the sun from the distance. Comets are composed of lots of rock held together by ice, so when the ice vaporizes, the comet disintegrates. There's another little fuzz blob of it there for you. It's going to get bigger, much bigger, though, folks, before the 16th, and I guarantee you're going to see it on Soho, so don't let it flip you out, okay? Now, well, you can track this also if you have Solarium or any star mapping program. I've already got the coordinates from it from minor planets and the MPE. You can put it right in your system and track it that way also. Now, sometimes these sun grazer comets, technically called Kouroots family comets, after the man who figured out they all came from the same parent comet, survive their passage, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they also get bright enough to be seen with the naked eye. The 2011 W3 is pretty faint right now and probably won't brighten. But comets are difficult to predict. Each is different and can surprise us. If this one flares up, I'll be sure to let you know. This is a pretty good find by Mr. Lovejoy. Most sun grazer comets are first seen when they appear in data from Soho Solar Observing Satellite, already very near the sun. It's hard to find them when they're far from the sun, since they are usually so faint. And in fact, this is the first such sun-grazing comet found from the ground in over 40 years. So it's quite a nice discovery. Congrats to Mr. Lovejoy, and we'll have to see what happens to his comet over the next couple of weeks. So there it is, folks.
That's another interpretation of Comet Lovejoy coming into the sun December 16th. Hopefully, when it comes close to the sun, it won't cause a terrific solar flare / CME or solar event, because those events can affect us here on Earth. Those events can not only affect us here on Earth, but they can affect the other planets and our moon. Solar storms can actually sand blast away the moon's surface and or the atmosphere on a planet. Violent storms can blast a surprisingly large amount of material off the surface of the moon. They've done research with computers using different strength CMEs, solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and they've thrown those CMEs and solar flares at objects like Earth and the moon. And it is proven that the CMEs can significantly erode the surface of the moon, and it can also erode material from atmospheres. They speak more about in the research of the atmosphere on Mars because it's a lot weaker than Earth's. But if a solar storm is sandblasting the moon and sandblasting the Martian atmosphere, then it must be sandblasting the Earth's atmosphere. Yet the Earth has a much stronger magnetosphere and protection against it. It is the first time that researchers have attempted to predict the effects of a solar storm and CME on places like the moon. That team of researchers was based at the Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, and the scientists are part of the dynamic response of the environment at the moon. It's the DREAM team, the dynamic response of the environment at the moon within the NASA Lunar Science Institute. They found that when a massive cloud of plasma strikes the moon, it acts like a sandblaster and easily removes volatile materials from the surface. William Farrell, the DREAM team lead at Goddard, said in a statement, the model predicts 100 to 200 tons of lunar material, the equivalent of 10 dump truck loads, could be stripped off the lunar surface during the typical 2-day passage of a CME. Solar flares can unleash CMEs, which are massive clouds of hot plasma and charged particles that blow outward from the sun, the surface of the sun, and stream into space. A strong CME, coronal mass ejection, can contain roughly 1 billion tons of plasma that tear through space at a blistering pace of up to 1 million miles per hour in a cloud many times the size of Earth, the researcher said. Since the moon has no atmosphere, Earth's natural satellite is vulnerable to the effects of space weather. As a result, plasma from CMEs is able to penetrate the moon's so-called exosphere and crash to the surface, kicking up particles from the moon in a process called sputtering. Sputtering is among the top 5 processes that create the moon's exosphere. Under normal solar conditions, but our model predicts that during the CME, it becomes the dominant method by far, with up to 50 times the yield of other methods. CMEs are able to blast away lunar material because the material is denser and faster than normal solar wind, which is typically dominated by lightweight electrically charged particles of hydrogen called ions. Plasma from CMEs is enriched in highly charged heavy ions, which sputter 10 times more atoms from the surface of the moon than a hydrogen ion. They created models, and they used data from satellite measurements of chemical enrichment in the sun's output. The computer models isolate the contributions from sputtering and other processes, studying co-author Dana Hurley of the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory in Laurel, Maryland, said in a statement, comparing model predictions through a range of solar wind conditions allows us to predict the conditions when sputtering should dominate over other processes. Those predictions can later be compared to data during a solar storm. NASA's Lunar Atmosphere and Dust Environment Explorer, LADY, mission, which is slated to launch in 2013, is expected to test these models. The researchers said from its planned orbital attitude, the LADY lunar orbiter should be able to detect atoms kicked up 12.4 to 31 miles from the surface of the moon by this sputtering effect. So basically they're going to send up a orbiter in 2013 to the moon and watch when CMEs hit the moon and see how much dust it kicks up from the surface of the moon. This huge CME sputtering effect will make LADY almost like a surface mineralogy explorer, not because LADY is on the surface, but because during solar storms, surface atoms are blasted up to LADY. So basically, they're going to have, the orbiter will see the moon dust kicked up by a CME and be able to analyze it. Scientists have previously studied the effect of solar storms on Earth's magnetic field, and it has long been known that solar flares and CMEs can ramp up intense aurora displays on our planet. But for planets like Mars, which does not have a global magnetic field, solar plasma could sputter and erode the planet's upper atmosphere, the researchers said. NASA is planning to launch the Mars Atmosphere and Volatile Evolution MAVEN mission in late 2013. So another mission in 2013, Lady and Maven. The spacecraft is designed to orbit Mars to study how solar activity, including CMEs, remove the atmosphere of the red planet. From their models, the researchers also predict that exposed small bodies, such as asteroids, are also vulnerable to sputtering in a process similar to that on the Moon. In addition to upcoming papers in the Journal of Geophysical Research Planets, the researchers also presented their findings in the fall meeting of the American Geophysical Union in San Francisco. So this is some new research about the effects of coronal mass ejections on objects like the Moon, on objects like Mars, on objects like asteroids. Though they left out, they really didn't put too much information about Earth. I really like to know more about the Earth effects. Now I realize that our atmosphere and our magnetosphere really protects us against a lot of things. But with the missions to Mars and with my curiosity piqued about Mars and why everyone's interested in Mars, I came up with the crazy notion that I wonder if they're trying to discover what removed Mars' atmosphere, and if somehow there is some cause and effect to Earth changes here on Earth. I'm not saying that there is. I'm just saying that I'm currently interested in that topic, and I will be researching things like this sputtering effect created by large coronal mass ejections. So that's why I brought up this information, because it's these types of solar events that over a long period of time, or maybe in a state of weakened, let's look at the Earth as it is right now. Let's say it has a strong magnetosphere, a strong atmosphere. Could there be a time when our magnetosphere is not as strong? Will sputtering have an opportunity to decrease the atmosphere here on Earth? It seems like, I'll tell you, every time I try to bring up the atmosphere on Earth, solar flares and the like, and I even, mentioned it to someone else about the comparison of Mars, it appears from the response that the research, hurry up with their research because you're probably not going to find anything very interesting, was the impression I got. But yet I'm going to continue thinking on that way because, I feel still in the case of, with the Earth and our atmosphere and our magnetosphere, we have, we'll always have the threat, it's not if but when, because eventually, billions and billions of years, when our sun is at the end of its life, it will expand, it will take away, or, Earth's atmosphere is not around forever. It is around a lot longer than you and me are around, but eventually Earth's atmosphere will be wiped out, more than likely by something from the sun, whether that's the event billions of years from now, where the sun is at its last gasp of life and it's expanding, and just by proximity it wipes out our atmosphere, or is it a situation that might occur during a future magnetic pole shift, where our magnetic pole switches north and south? And in that case, will there be a prolonged weakness of the magnetosphere? And during that weakness of the magnetosphere, is our atmosphere being sputtered away? Because the impression I got from this article was that sure, on the Moon it's sputtering away dust off the lunar surface, but in the case of Mars, it is sputtering off whatever atmosphere is there on Mars. Because Mars does have an atmosphere, does not have a magnetosphere. I get the feeling that the magnetosphere has a real is in actuality the reason for Mars not having an atmosphere. If Mars had a magnetosphere, it would be able to retain more of its atmosphere. When it lost its magnetosphere, it lost the potential to maintain its atmosphere like Earth does. So interesting. The sun, and I also found it interesting because I remember, during the comet research, Comet Lenin got hit by a solar flare, and apparently that's what started the demise of that comet. I do agree that somewhere from September 2nd to October 10th it disintegrated and turned it into a dust cloud. But I also remember, as I was discussing solar flares, CMEs, and objects, I still haven't got a complete explanation that I can rattle off to you as how a CME could sputter up dust off the moon, sputter off molecules from atmosphere. I mean, because that's, to me, it sounds like a physical interaction, but yet, and the reason why I bring this up is because it was always told to me, well, an asteroid can get hit by a CME and it's not going to do anything, or a comet, if a comet gets hit by CME, the only thing that it can wipe away is its tail. I still, in my own amateur way, don't understand fully how those interactions aren't altering the orbital paths, but I'll look into that and I'll try to come back with a better answer. I'm not going to be able to give you that answer tonight because I need to research. But I find it interesting that the solar flares, the plasma, the tons and tons of debris that comes off the sun, and the energy that is needed to kick up tons and tons of debris off the moon, these events pass by asteroids. Now they said that you can get sputtering on an asteroid, but I guess it doesn't affect its orbital path. And in a comet's case, I guess the only thing a CME can do is sputter the tail away. You are listening to Revolution Radio, a part of the Total Truth Network. Now would be the time to hear me ask you to donate to the station to keep the content and the shows flowing from the servers of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com. We are now a part of the Total Truth Network. What that means is that Revolution Radio and Freedom Slips will let you own a radio station for yourself. If you think you've got what it takes to run a whole station, I know that Nighthawk can hook you up with your own radio station. I believe there are still some of the 50 left. And what that means is you can find a topic that you like to do, to produce, and produce content on your very own radio station as part of the Total Truth Network. If you're not up to running your own radio station, you might want to donate to Revolution Radio through the donate button, the PayPal donate button in the left-hand sidebar. A little bit higher, you have a link that says T-shirts and swag. And then farther up, you'll have banners that you can click. Each of those three ways, you can interact with the station in a positive way by supporting the causes of the station and the causes of the hosts and the shows that you like best. Maybe it's Collision Course. I know you're going to walk away from Collision Course tonight and say, boy, I wish there was something really exciting to talk about. But what I'm going to talk about next is what the future holds. In upcoming shows of Collision Course, we're going to talk more about the work that the Cosmic Obsession Observatory is going to be doing. As most of you know, if you don't know, over the last August 21st, August, September, October, November, for the last 5 months, we have been building a permanent dome observatory. The dome is 11 feet in diameter, and the observatory is 3 rooms of telescope fun. As of the last report, sheetrock was going up on the walls. When you have sheetrock up on the walls, the only thing left to do is tie up the loose ends, get service, internet service into the building, bring in the equipment, and get it set up to start producing some new research and new views of space. So I can tell you that beginning in 2012, pretty quickly, I would forecast that it would start, in January, you'll start getting reports on when to expect regular broadcasts, live broadcasts from our telescopes at the Cosmic Obsession Observatory. Collision Course will be arranging a checklist of things to do every week, and then at during the radio show, I'll give you a report on all the things that we were able to accomplish that week at the observatory. Some of the things we're going to work on first are images of Mars. We're going to look out for an occultation of the moon and any of the planets. I don't know if there's any occultations coming up, but we plan on bringing those events to you live, beginning as soon as the observatory's finished, as soon as the telescope is up and running, and in fact, you may see a preview of events to come like that, even before we have first light. I believe we're going to have a first light event in February of 2012, but that will be like the grand opening, the official grand opening. I believe the official first light through the telescope will probably occur before then, and then once that occurs, we'll be ramping up a broadcast schedule of live telescope events, because we broadcast a live telescope feed right from our telescopes on a website called the Night Skies Network, NSN. You know, I don't know if y'all can hear that yo. For some reason, the yos are so loud. NightSkiesNetwork.com. I believe most of you know it already. If you don't know it, you would go there and you register for free. And once you register for free and log in, you'll have access to about 300 different amateur astronomers and astronomers who broadcast live feeds from the telescopes. Now, it's not, what you'll find is a long list of feeds, and there'll be one or two feeds. Not everybody's on all at the same time, but normally every night you can consistently find someone using their telescope and producing a live feed. Once the Cosmic Obsession Observatory, permanent observatory, is complete, we'll be doing a regular schedule of live broadcasts. And through those broadcasts, you, as the listener / viewer / chatter, can affect what we look at. And I think it's a great way and great content to include and to bring in to Collision Course, the radio show, because we can talk about what we want to look at next week and what we've looked at already. I know when this show started, at first, we had all sorts of excitement, all sorts of theories, all sorts of things going on astronomically that seemed to be imperative and important to the survival of all of us. Fortunately, for all of us, those events have not proven to be correct, and the research that we did to prove that to ourselves has not gone to waste. The only thing about it that I find, my biggest hurdle with doing Collision Course, 2 hours of radio, is to make sure that I'm bringing you information that you care about, and then hopefully in the near future we're going to add more content and more ways that you can get involved in real amateur astronomy and what we're actually doing on a daily and weekly basis to inform ourselves about what's out in space. And for sure, the next time something important happens, or the next great doomsday theory hits the airwaves, we will together as a team be prepared to meet those challenges head on like we have to date. It's all a learning process. Even doing a radio show, I know that, I wasn't a radio host before, and I wasn't, my amateur astronomer status was even more amateur before than it is now. But we're just going to move forward. And that includes the first light of Cosmic Obsession Observatory sometime in early 2012. Big party. If there's anything that you want us to look at, research, I really would love to have your input, and so that you could get the answers that you want, and I could be sure to be covering the things that you're most interested in. Next, or coming up soon, like I said before, we are going to have Santos Bonacci on the show. He's going to start to introduce us and me into his theories of how the night sky is basically what the Bible was written around. And that's his opinion that I read, his ancient astronomy theology, is that somehow the Bible may have been written to describe events in the night sky, and I'm really, my interest is highly piqued on that, and I can't wait to have him on. I tried to have him on tonight, but he's in Australia, and Saturday at 1 p.m., which actually right now it's Saturday around 2:30 p.m. in Australia. He was unable to come to be on the show. So, but I promised to have him on maybe after we get through the holidays, because we do have the holidays coming up, and I know how busy we can all be. He's told me that he's going to give me a time that's going to be good for him, or I'm going to send him a message and get him to commit to another day so that we can hear about how astronomy and the Bible are connected. You know, when I was doing the Comet Lenin story, and I was making mention of something in the Bible, Revelation. I don't know if Prophet Chaser's listening. I'm going to probably say it wrong, so I'm going to say it both. When I was following up the information of Revelations about the Virgo and the birthing of the male child and the astronomical alignments that were occurring, was it October? The end of October, October 3rd and 4th. You know, I was hesitant to delve into anything religious, because I'm not a religious promoter. I personally don't like organized religion. I like having my own idea about my own spirituality and whatever that may be. I do not promote a religion one way or the next. I leave it up to you to know inside your heart what you do. I don't like religion put on me, which means, you know, if somebody really wants to impress on me something about their religion, you know, they maybe get 60, 90 seconds, but after that, I really don't want to push it on me. But I never heard it before. I had never heard what Santos Bonacci was telling me, and the way he was telling it in his presentation. I don't even know if I don't think I have a link. Let me go see if I have a link to it in my YouTube. But basically what he was saying was that everything was written in the Bible according to what was going on in space. He has examples of star positions. He takes the movement of the sun across the sky and he connects it to us as individuals. And he goes even so far as he has his presentation and he has a picture of the night sky and he takes a human form and lays it down. I've never had a chance to connect religion like that to astronomy, so I'm really interested in it, because that would be some more research that I could do, which doesn't necessarily have to promote religion, but actually promotes the search for truth about some of the things we really want to know about. One of the things I really want to know about is, you know, because I've never been able to go fully on board, you know, I don't believe the Bible as much as everybody else is, or I don't believe I don't believe the interpretation of the Bible is you know what it could be. And you know, some people who are highly religious, you know, Christians, Catholics, and whatever it may be, will probably dislike the fact that I'm gonna dive into the research of associating some of the passages in the Bible with, rather than a human distinction, with something that may have been out in space. And maybe, you know, people are not going to like it when I say, well, what is the Bible really being written about? Is it being written about a man? Is it being written about the man as many of us believe, or is it being written about something else? So that person, Santos Bonacci, is the perfect guy to ask, because he's done a lot of research, a lot more than me, and I can't wait to get to that discussion soon, so that I can look Maybe I'll actually revisit the Bible, because I've read the Bible before, but it's been a very long time. Maybe it'll even give me a reason to revisit the Bible. The last time I revisited the Bible was to look up Revelations 12, which told me about something astronomical in the sky. Maybe this Bible is going to keep giving me things to look at in the sky, and I don't really mind that, because I can see what's out in the sky. I don't have to imagine it, and maybe Santos is going to help me, and maybe it'll help you, and I can't wait to get there. Good evening, everyone. It is Francis, and this is Collision Course, and it is December 9th. Tonight's show, I'm going to fill up with as much information as I can. So if you want to call, if you want to join the call, have any questions, feel free. I'm going to try to deal with the callers in the best way I know how, which is when you call, I will answer and add you to the conversation, and then I'll try not to hang up on you and hang up on the radio station server at the same time. Much of tonight's show, as we've already heard, has been basic astronomy information from the week. We all know that there isn't a lot of objects that are posing a direct threat to Earth as there were so many months ago. If we even take the heavy mass object off the top shelf and put it down a little ways and do more research on it, there still are limited exciting things to talk about, limited opportunities to debunk outside of the spaceship behind Mercury, which isn't. I did a lot of research this week. On an upcoming show, we're going to have a guest, Santos Bonacci, who I was researching over this past week, who has a unique presentation on ancient astronomy and theology. Santos is looking at astronomy and connecting some of the ways the Bible is written, and he has a belief within him that the Bible is somehow describing the sky, the night sky. And I need to learn more about it. But I found a lot of interesting information this week, and some of it was about reality and virtual reality, and basically the spaceship behind Mercury. It's just information in what we know of the world right now, and through our past experiences. Information cannot be two things at once. Okay, if it was a spaceship and it was observed and proven, and then at that instant that spaceship would be in our reality. The problem is the information of it being a spaceship is not in our reality, which means as soon as you call it a spaceship, you're making something unreal real. And another point of interest, which involves some.
You're listening to Revolution Radio, where it's 53 degrees, and I've got Joe Anunnaki on the phone. Hey, Joe, what would you like to hear?
We are observing your Earth.
I'm sorry, Joe, but we can't.
And we'd like to make
sorry, Joe, but
contact with you.
Collision Course.
It is essential for our survival to use these powerful tools in the most humane and wise way. And the only way to guarantee that is not to shuffle the responsibility off to somebody else, but to make sure that every citizen understands science and technology to some extent.
Lighten up, Francis.
For my research this week about information, how everything, how our physics are changing. When the research I did this week was talking about Big Bang, how Newtonian science the effects of gravity, the tenets of old world physics, new world physics, new age physics are basically having to just eliminate the tenets that were created by Einstein and Newton to achieve these new answers about our universe. And one of the specific examples of how unique our universe is again, I mentioned a lot, the two-slit experiment. And there was a physicist did a long presentation about the two-slit experiment. I'm going to go get that link if I have it here. And basically what we did, I've seen a great explanation of the two-slit experiment, but what this physicist did is he went a little bit further and he explained all the different ways that affect the experiment. And basically what it is that the information, which is our observations, the information of our reality is not actually true until we observe it. It can be anything until the observation is made and the effect is proven. I have a caller, so I'm going to add a caller, see if there's a question I can answer. Caller, are you there? 916?
Yes.
Yes, how are you? This is Francis. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Francis, it's gvloanguy.
gvloanguy, that's right. How are you? I'm glad that you...
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm out here on the West Coast. I was thinking you were talking about that total lunar eclipse tomorrow morning.
Yes. Are you going to try to observe it?
I'm going to be right out on the beach on the West Coast, just south of Crescent City, about 50 miles, looking west. And I'll be if it's clear, I'll be taking pictures of it.
And then you're going to post a YouTube video on your YouTube channel?
I will. If I can get some pictures of it, I'll post some stuff up tomorrow morning.
Definitely, please do. Listen, listeners, this is my friend Tom, and he is GV.